Podcast 1, Season 1 of Beau Leadership Group's podcast, where Beau means beautiful, and we look at beautiful leadership methods. I'm Beaulaurier, and today's show is about avoiding your own Waterloo. Leadership communications and DISC is also part of the show. Hey there and welcome. I want to start with a confession. I am not the most exciting communicator, so if you want to 2 times this to listen to me, because if it were a roller coaster, this podcast might be, wow, slow. So I hope that safety railings are solid, but it might be a little slow for you, so speed it up. But stick with me, because by the end of this episode, I promise you some biblical wisdom, a strategy that'll transform your team. And let me ask you something. What if right now your team was headed for its own Waterloo and you didn't even know it? What if the one thing that could save your mission, your organization, was missing and nobody told you? Today we're talking about leadership, communications, and how understanding people through something called the DISC model might be the thing that keeps you from massive, expensive, soul-crushing defeat. It's inspiring, it's practical, and it might even make you look at your teammates and your family and yourself a little bit differently. I know I look at my family differently after I know everyone's DISC personalities. And I hope to have a little bit of a mic drop moment with some biblical wisdom at the end. So stay tuned. Let's get to it. Napoleon, the communication breakdown. Napoleon was a master strategist, but at the Battle of Waterloo, his greatest strength became his downfall. Why? Because of communication. His top marshal, Beaulaurier, who was his communication officer, was gone. And Beaulaurier wasn't just a paper pusher. He was the architect of communication systems. He translated Napoleon's instinct into coordinated, clear, timely battle plans. And without him, Napoleon sent contradictory orders and chaos reigned at Waterloo. So now think about your team and your organization. Who's your Beaulaurier? Do you have a diplomat or somebody who is handling things for you? Or worse yet, are you Napoleon without a communication officer? When communication breaks down, even the strongest vision can be a disaster. So ask yourself, who on your team keeps things together and keeps things turning and turning the wheels? If they were gone tomorrow, would your strategy fall apart? That's the wake-up call. Even the most brilliant leaders need clarity in execution. And without an intentional communication system, you're building your dream on a wobbly foundation. Think about your team personalities, and let's look at DISC and break it down a bit. Have you ever noticed that certain people gel together and they just get each other? There could be others that are at odds, right? And that's where DISC comes in. The DISC tool helps you to understand communication styles and develop a system where you can communicate to people the way they want to be spoken to. The platinum method, we call it. So D is dominance, direct, decisive, get it done now kind of leaders that are your 8-type personalities. And I is influence, talkative, energetic people, focused. There's the cheerleaders. S is steadiness, loyal, calm, dependable teammates who hate conflict. And C, conscientious, detail, focused, systems-oriented thinkers, maybe like Beaulaurier. So each style has its strengths, each style has stress points, and we all have all 4 of these personality styles in us a little bit, but what someone has as a style, you may think is your style, and you're communicating to them like you would like to be communicated to, but they don't want to, so you might be creating your own private Waterloo. Ever seen a dominant leader storm into a room with new ideas and a steady team member, an S, looks at them like they've been hit by a freight train? Or an influencer in a Hawaiian shirt comes in to brainstorm out loud, but the C-style perfectionist with the pocket protector just wants them to please stick to the plan. These aren't bad people. These are great people. They're just misaligned. They don't understand each other. So let me ask you, do you know your style? Does your team know your style? Because in some ways, having the boss, his style down helps the whole organization. This gives us a framework, a cheat code, a map, a hack, a way to transform. And here's a twist. People can get better at communication. And if you don't, your competitor may get better at communication. So It's a competitive advantage to understand and be able to transform your leadership with communications. And your team's energy can improve just by learning these styles and applying them intentionally. And you don't have to be a natural speaker. I'm not a natural speaker, but I've learned to follow people's personalities. That's right. That's me. I was the roller coaster guy at the beginning. Remember, you need to speed up communications for some people and slow them down for others, and maybe send an email for some people, but other people may need to go to lunch twice and have a meeting. Those are our eyes. But through DISC, I've seen transformation. I had a revelation with a CEO of a healthcare organization where the CEO, she thought her team was disengaged. Turns out she had a C-style analytical delivery with her spreadsheets, and her I-style staff felt invisible. After one DISC session, she changed her meeting style just slightly with shorter agendas, more connection moments, maybe some hors d'oeuvres and talking over food, and engagement skyrocketed. Revelation number 2, New Zealand's Prime Minister during COVID, Jacinda Ardern's use of a calm, clear, empathetic communication helped an entire country feel safe and informed. 70% of the world are S-type personalities. She showed up with a leadership that it just isn't about authority. It's about tone, timing, and trust. That's the kind of thing that you want. That's the kind of outcome we're aiming for. Listen to this bold promise. If this doesn't help your team, if it doesn't make communications easier, if you don't walk away with at least one aha moment and you're my client, you don't pay. Your relationships will be more effective. I guarantee it. And I will give you your money back if they're not. No games, no hassle. And just to prove I'm serious, I'll even throw in a 2-hour free complimentary workshop that I think adds value because people understand how to communicate to each other the way that the recipient of the communications wants to hear it. And you have nothing to lose and your own Waterloo to avoid. So here's the invitation. Go to BeauLeadershipGroup.com and let's talk. And let's learn about what DISC training could do for your team. And let's stop the chaos before it costs you time, money, and people. Here's the thing. The battles you're fighting today, personnel issues, team issues, low morale, they're not unsolvable. They're just misunderstood. So understand better and lead better. We're going to learn more about how to lead better through this podcast show. I promised you some biblical wisdom, so let's think about Moses. He's leading an entire nation out of slavery. And what does he say to God? I can't speak well. So what does God do? He sends him Aaron, his birthday, right? His communicator. So even the greatest leader in history needed help with communications. A lot of folks think Al Gore, if he just had a little more enthusiasm, he'd have been elected. He only lost by a 0.5 percentage point. But he didn't have the ability to listen to the advice that he needed to step up the energy. And it's okay to admit that you aren't a wizard and, like me, not the greatest, most enthusiastic speaker, but it's a mistake to stay stuck. And Nehemiah, think about him, tasked with rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. He didn't just cast a vision. He was assigned people based on their gifts. And so he strategically placed them where they could serve best. That's DISC, thousands of years before DISC. And think about Jesus himself. He spoke differently to Peter, Thomas, Mary, the Pharisees. He communicated based on personality, based on heart. And he knew his audience. He led the most effective movement, according to many people I know, in history. So here's the takeaway. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be intentional. Invest in understanding people. Invest in communications. Invest in systems, because as Deming showed us in the 70s, you fail because of your system. Connect. Don't just speak. I call this blowing the lid off, where LID is leadership investment decisions. We're going to learn more about how to make leadership investment decisions on this podcast. So please stay tuned to our next episode. Subscribe so your communications and your team can improve. Try to have takeaways for you. And even if you don't do DISC with me, you can change your approach with people, because leadership isn't a solo act, and your Waterloo can be avoided by communicating to people the way they want to be communicated with. Together, we can do it. BeauLeadershipGroup.com, where Beau is spelled B-E-A-U. It means beautiful. Thanks for sticking with me. You just invested becoming a better leader. And I think Napoleon would be proud of us. And maybe Berthier too. We planted our first seed in leadership and investment. And until next time, stay wise, stay humble, and lead with love and beauty. This is Bob Beaulaurier, the Beau Leadership Group Podcast.